And then I thought, actually, you know, this is not the most hygienic place to do a pregnancy test. I mean, I don't know how long since these lavatories were cleaned. There's a little saucer by the wash basins with a threatening bit and a sixpence in it. I thought, where can I go? Where would be nice? I thought, I know. I can go to our new shopping centre and go to the department store there. It's very new, this shopping centre. In fact, it's so new, it's not called a shopping centre. It's called a Pickwick-style purchasing experience. I think it's supposed to be sort of Dickensian, you know, because it's got the Mr. Bumble coffee shop and the little Nell Carburettor centre and things. So I get on a bus to go out to it, because it's out of town. They do that with shopping centres now. They build them out of town so that poor people can't go in and eat their sandwiches by the fountains. I ended up in the ladies' room of the department store, and it was called the powder room, and it had that drawing on the door of the woman with the sticky-out skirt and the handbag. And I, of course, got neither of these things. Got a sticky-out stomach and a carrier bag. I think, but that will do. Well, I have to queue up, but I eventually get into a cubicle. Actually, I burst in on a woman who's forgotten to lock the door, which is a bit embarrassing because she's standing there taking the price tags off her shoplifting. Anyway, I go in and I sit down and I take out the instructions, and there's been a sort of a misprint, because like halfway down the page, half the words are in English, half the words are in French. Well, I'm no good at French, see, because I didn't do French at school, I did woodwork. It's a bit of a shame, because all my friends went to France as au pairs. I did 3 weeks in a deck chair factory. So the thing is, it takes me ages to work out what I'm supposed to be doing, and there's people rapping on the door, there's a woman threatening to take the door off the hinges with a Swiss Army knitting needle, and I'm getting very flustered, you know, and obviously in the end what I've got to do is wee on my paddle. And I feel very sort of inhibited. I think everybody's listening to me, and I really, really want to do it, but I feel under such pressure I can't do it. I think, oh, is this what it's like to be a man in bed? You know, it sort of gives you a sort of insight into impotence, you know. I mean, all I'm really missing is the woman humping over onto a shoulder going, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, I can't do anything, and short of obtaining counselling from the woman in the next door cubicle through the gap, I think, well, I'll just leave it for now. So I pack everything back up, you know, my chemicals, my instructions, my test tube, and I come out, and they've all heard all this clinking and rustling, and they all think I'm on drugs. And there's a woman in a plastic rain hood about to make a citizen's arrest. Well, I managed to get away from her all right by putting on the hand dryer and bonding her head to the vanity unit. I think, well, what I'll do, I'll go and find a cafe and I'll get a cup of tea and then I'll be able to do my test. So I'm walking along thinking, I wonder if I am pregnant, and if you are pregnant, do you have to get special maternity knickers or anything? Which you don't, by the way. No, because if you are pregnant, spend so much time being fiddled about with, it's not worth wearing any. I just thought I'd throw that in, you know. It might be a useful piece of information for somebody. Might be somebody in our audience who's newly pregnant. She's talking about us, Dave. And I find the cafe. It's not the nicest cafe I've ever been in. It's got this huge man behind the counter. There's no menu. You just have to look at his vest and guess. And I sit down. It's not too bad. There's little check curtains up at the windows, and there's a calendar with a picture of a dog with a boot in its mouth, you know. It's a Rottweiler. There's a man's leg in the boot. But the trouble is, the tea isn't very nice. It's bright orange, and I spill of it, and it burns a hole in the Formica. I think, well, I'll have a cold drink, you know, that'll probably be more healthy. Well, I look round, he's got rows and rows of cans of Coke. Well, I haven't drunk Coke for years, you know, not since I was at youth club. It's very strong. I think if I have one now, I might start running about with a ping pong bat, being that stupid. Well, the only other cold drink he's got is dandelion and burdock. I think, well, I'll have that, you know, it sounds rather healthy, doesn't it? You know, flowers and herbs and things. So I have 2 huge glasses of dandelion and burdock, and I go up to use his lavatory to do the test, and I go in, there's a massive great mirror with a big neon light over the top. Now, you know how unflattering a neon light is? And I'm just stood there looking at myself, and I'm thinking, you just look so old. I think you're just too old to have a baby. I think, what will I do when it's in the infants, and it's the sports day, and it's the mummy sack race? I think I'll have to lie down in mine and have it dragged by a donkey. I'm thinking, do they do child benefit and old age pension on the one gyro? Suppose you get short of cash, it needs a new blazer, I need hormone replacement therapy. I think, well, maybe I should have a facelift or something, you know, it might improve matters. Lots of my friends are having things done. A friend of mine, a little bit's taken off here, bits taken off here, bits taken off here. But there's so many bits left over, they made her up a matching handbag in the end. Oh, and another friend of mine, she had a breast reduction. Her firm had asked her to have it done because she was their secretary, and they had a wipe clean memo board, and her nipples kept erasing important appointments. These are only my very thin and neurotic body-conscious friends who are having things done. These are my friends who are always on a diet, and they're always phoning the Samaritans and saying, you've got to help me, I've just had a Toblerone. I've got lots of other friends who don't care. I've got lots of massive, jolly friends who do lots of dangerous, life-threatening things like drinking and smoking and driving Bedford vans with no wing mirrors on them. And they're great. They have exercise parties, you know. They put on an aerobics video and they open a bottle of wine and sit down and criticise the leotard. Anyway, I do the test, and what it is, if it goes pale pink, you're probably pregnant. And if it goes bright pink, you're definitely pregnant. And if it goes purple, it's probably triplets, and you should phone for an ambulance. So I do it, and I think it's gone pale pink, but it's a neon light, it's a bit hard to tell. So I go down and I ask the man in the filthy vest. And he says he thinks it has, but 2 women in the corner with the custard slice and 2 straws think it hasn't. So this is a bit of a dilemma. I think, well, we'll call in Nellie from the back. Nellie will know. Nellie's in charge of the chip pan. She's got her city and guilds in the care and handling of grease. She never married. Nobody could get hold of her. Do it. Anyway, she comes in from the back and she puts her glasses on, which are in her apron pocket between 2 slices of bacon. And she has a look and she says she thinks it has gone pale pink and I am pregnant. So I walk home and I have to go past a mother care on my way home. And I'm thinking, oh God, I'll have to get some of these big floppy dresses with the big bow at the neck now. Now, the bow is supposed to sort of detract from your bulge somehow. Don't really quite see how. But like trying to conceal St. Paul's Cathedral by putting a bobble hat on the top of it. Anyway, I go home and I think, well, I'm pregnant now and I do all the right things, I put my feet up and eat coal and all that. But I don't feel pregnant, I don't feel sick, I don't get varicose veins. I get a broken toe, but that's from dropping a mother care catalogue on my foot. And I'm thinking, have I made a mistake? Have I done something wrong with this test? And I think, no, it's probably all right, don't panic. So I knit some booties, because I can knit. I can knit on very, very big needles, only I can't turn heels, unfortunately. So I actually end up with a couple of windsocks that I have to flog to Manchester Airport. But I still feel something a bit amiss. I think I know what to do. I'll go to the library and I'll get out a book on pregnancy and I'll check the symptoms and then I'll know. So I go to the library and they've got rows and rows of books on pregnancy and childbirth and breastfeeding. Breastfeeding looks so complicated. They've got all these photographs of little tiny weedy babies wrapped up in blankets and huge great bosoms. It's like asking somebody in a straitjacket to eat their lunch off a beach ball. And they got so many books on birth, natural childbirth, active childbirth. A friend of mine was very, very keen on active childbirth. She was very assertive, this woman, and she insisted on marching round and round the hospital till she felt ready, and there she lay down over a beanbag and had it by torchlight and all this. Now, they put the lights on, she was in the TV lounge, so that's Anyway, I take down a book on pregnancy and I check the symptoms. Moody, irrational, big bosoms. I've been pregnant for 20 years, according to this. I still feel something a bit wrong somewhere, so I think, well, I'll just check the instructions to the pregnancy test one more time. And right at the bottom, in tiny, tiny print, in English, where I hadn't seen it before, it said, this test will give a false reading if you have had alcohol, drugs, or herbs, brackets, e.g. dandelion and burdock. Wasn't pregnant at all. The whole thing was a gigantic mistake. I was so upset. I went home, I had 2 bottles of wine, a deep dish pizza, we had a blazing row, we made it up, and then I was pregnant.